Namaste, yogis. I believe we're live now. Welcome to Bhakti Yoga live stream. Grab yourself 2 blocks if you've got them. They'll be helpful throughout practice today. And I've got 2 straps. You're more than welcome to grab a towel or something that you can use as a strap. You're really only going to need one, unless you have two, and then you can get a little more feedback from your body by the use of 2 straps. So it's really up to you. We are going to start out on our back, so as you are ready, just recline, take a moment to relax on your back, stretch all the way out, as if you would, as if you were, I should say, in final relaxation already. Just taking inventory as you rest on the ground. You can wiggle things around and maybe roll the feet in and out, snuggle the shoulder blades down the back. And then just a moment to notice where everything's landed as you find stillness. I usually start down low with the heels, the feet. Let's notice if you're feeling through sensation, if one feels more, say, turned out than the other or turned in, however you look at it. Sometimes one feels a little heavier than the other. Just noticing the difference between sides as you move up the legs. And you feel into the pelvis. Does it feel balanced right to left, or does it feel like one side might be a little heavier or a little higher? How's the back of the pelvis resting, the sacrum and the tailbone? Does it feel spacious or a little congested back there today? Just noticing the curve of the lower back. How much of the rib case is on the earth? Feeling where the shoulder blades touch ground. And feeling into that space between the shoulders and the base of the skull. Listening into where the skull touches ground. Another breath or two. Sipping into full with the inhales. And then work to go all the way to empty as you exhale. Squeeze your belly to your back. Try and get a little more length through the spine if you can. Get all the breath out. You'll naturally feel your sacrum try and lengthen a little earthward. You might have to pick your hips up a hair. We can bring the legs into straighter. Push out through the heels. Soften the inner thighs down. Make it a little more active. And as the body starts to wake up, let's slide the feet in flat. Want your heels in where you can touch them with your fingertips, and you do want your straps within arm's reach. So maybe I should have mentioned that before we laid back. Anyhow, straps can come into play whenever you're ready. If you've got 2 straps, I'm going to give you some instruction for that. So strap would go around the bottom of the left foot with a nice big loop in it, and we'd take it right over top of the entire right leg, so it does wrap around the top of the right thigh. And the idea is it's going to hold your right thigh down, not allowing you to go into spinal flexion, but really feeling where you get true hip flexion here in the joint where the thigh bone and the pelvis come together. So you could start by hugging the knee in, and you literally want to feel the right thigh descending down deeper into its socket. Might inhibit you from getting the knee in as close as you would as if you were fully rounding your back, right? So you can just take a moment to feel into that. And if you're only working with 1 strap, you can use it for this if you would like, but you would want something else because we are going to be straightening the leg to the sky shortly. So I would suggest perhaps keeping the left foot flat and hugging the right knee in. And just taking a moment there, can feel good to take the right hand to the outside of the right shin or ankle and the left hand on top of the left knee. Do a little hug in here. And just feel what it's like to try and get the ankle, the hip, and the knee in one line, and try and make that line parallel to your spine. And just notice what happens to the pelvis. Notice what happens to the low back. And as you breathe, you can release the right hand back to the knee, and then allow the foot to go in a little towards the midline and the knee to turn out to the right. It should just naturally want to do that. My body does anyway. And then if you hug in just a little bit deeper, you can follow the line of the hip flexor and maybe sometimes get a little more flexion without taking it into the spine. Right? Still feel it deep in the hip joint. And then from there, hands can move back behind the leg and you can straighten the right heel to the sky. So you might have your legs strapped up and then extend the right leg to the sky. If you have your second strap, you can hold it up there. But it's Uttita Hasta Padangusthasana A, the supine variation. So if we were standing, we'd be holding the big toe. And if you have that kind of flexibility this early in the morning, I won't stop you, but I imagine that most of us are not quite there. So let's push the right thigh into the hands or towards the left heel a little bit, just working to descend the top of the right thigh towards whatever's in front if you're not working with that strap. Right? So you want to mimic the work of the strap. I think most of us have done that in the past if you've taken some classes with me. So from here, option to straighten the left leg out on the earth if the knee is bent, but you want to wake up that left leg like you're standing on it. The left top thigh is also going to move earthward, and we want to try and feel the hips as side by side as possible. So your right heel might need to descend a little to the earth, depending on the flexibility of your hamstrings. We are going to keep the leg here. If you're feeling a little fatigued, feel free to bend the knee and extend through the heel. Firm the front of the leg and start to lengthen the back of the leg out. You might do that a few times. Little baby bend on the inhale. Exhale, right leg extends. Notice if you have stopped paying attention to the left side. And as you continue to work the right leg, flex the left foot, take the very top of the left thigh down to the ground. And if it feels like the right hip is higher than the left one because you're not working with the strap, you might have to suck that left thigh back up into the pelvis a wee amount. So let's just stay right here, and we'll turn the right toes as far out to the right as we comfortably can. So we're in external rotation. It's not really coming from the foot, it's coming from the thigh bone. Femur still descending into your hands, but we're finding the thigh and spinning it in the socket. Well, let's go the other way. We'll turn the big toes in as far as we comfortably can. Notice which one is easier for your body and which one is a little more challenging. And just see what it feels like in the pelvis. So when we turn those big toes in, I want you to pay attention here to what happens in the hip. And it should feel like the top of your right hip moves in a little closer to your navel. Just notice that, right? With the internal rotation, the softening of the inner thigh. And then we're going to find center again. And we will change sides. So go ahead and set the foot down. Slide the other foot in. Do your thing, strap or no strap. Getting the strap around the bottom of the right foot if you're going for that, and over top the left knee. And then we start to hug the left knee in towards the chest. So if you're going strapless, right hand to the left knee and left hand down towards the outer shin or ankle, where you can start to try and line things up a little bit. Keep a little energy through the left side and the right side. Notice what happens to the pelvis. And can you get your thigh bone parallel to your spine here? And hug it in. And keeping things relatively level right and left side. The breath moving in and out, steady and smooth. And then releasing both hands to the knee. Just let the left knee go a little left, the left foot move a little rightward. And let's hug it in a little deeper. Try not to round your lower back, but just feel if you can get any more flexion out of the thigh. Where it meets the socket, and then we'll get behind the back of the leg right away, push through the heel. Go into those little bend and extends if that feels good. We'll be holding it up here for a bit. instruction, of course, to stretch the right leg out if you haven't already. And top of the right thigh going down. Just notice if things feel like they've gone a little sideways. Do your best, or swiveled off to the side. Sometimes we do a swivel in the hips. My teacher likes to call it the John Travolta. So let's push up through the heel, or both heels rather, and really just send the top of the right thigh down as you have that feeling of the strap descending the left thigh towards the right heel or towards the right foot, actively working the legs, actively working the breath. If your shoulders have come up off the ground, you want to anchor the shoulder blades down and widen the front chest. And then we're going to turn the toes out as far as we comfortably can to the left. Feel the external rotation of the femur in the socket. Hold it there for another moment. And then back to center. And then go as far in as you can. Really roll that big toe in. One side might have more success than the other, or less. But as you find the internal rotation of the leg, feel the top of the left pelvis. So that little point up top is called your anterior superior iliac spine, the ASIS, and we feel that kind of move in towards the navel. But the left thigh is still dropping down. The right thigh is still dropping down, so keep all that happening, but just notice what goes on with the pelvis there. And then back to center. Give it another breath or two. And as you're ready, we'll release. Right leg back in and left foot down. So here, feel free to just use one strap. I'm going to demonstrate with a strap on this one. We are going to take the right leg back up to the sky. And then we are going to stretch out through the left leg. So back to Uttita Hasta, Padangusthasana A. And feeling the kind of squaring of the pelvis, and a beautiful hamstring stretch you get here as you activate the front of the right leg. Descend the femurs. And then let's take the strap to the right hand and open the left arm leftward. And then here, get your whole left foot and pick it up and take it off to the left side of the mat. And let's turn the right toes, externally rotating the femur in the socket to the right. So we get full external rotation there. And then we're going to actually let the left leg, big toe, point in a little bit, and we're going to soften the left inner thigh. So go slow and start to play with bringing the right foot out to the right. Let the left inner thigh kind of soften in. And just see what you get out of it. Choke down the strap as you might get a little slack in there. The toes are moving up towards your head. The place where your thigh and your pelvis meet, dropping down, right? Same as if the strap were still holding it. And just recall that and feel the femur drop deeper, 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 but continue to roll the toes to the right. And even the left toes a little rightward, so the inseam of the left leg can roll in. And what I want you to feel is, as you get out here, it feels less like the pose that we do when we have the left leg straight down, right? But more like triangle pose. So you feel the inseam of the right leg stretching all the way from the inner groin out to the inner heel. And see if you can feel a little pullback from the right outer ankle all the way into the right hip, where that right outer hip firms. That's where you're rolling, right? And the left leg is more neutral. You want to keep some energy through it, but you want to allow the inner thigh to soften so the left glute isn't squeezing and your right thigh has room to kind of pull back in towards that left hip, which is going to allow the inner leg to lengthen a little more. So just give it another breath. Big inhale. And we'll use the exhale to draw the leg back up to center. If you're still exhaling, pick up the left leg, move it back in. And then find a breath or two to center it and square it off and come back to neutral. And we'll bend the left leg in and do that on the other side. So I hope that makes sense. This is something that my teacher gifted me with the other day in practice, and I just find it really interesting way to start. So let's feel our way into this side, coming nice and long through the right leg and strap just to the left hand. Left foot in the strap, and then we'll pick the right foot up and take it off the mat all the way to the outer right. And then continue to spin the left toes to the left, externally rotate the left femur, and allow those right toes to move a little leftward. So the inside of the right leg is softening, and the left side of the inner leg is stretching. So you're not going to feel a stretch to the outer left hip. That's going to work. It's going to pull back a little bit from the pinky toe side of the foot, back into the outer hip. And that's what's going to help you to drop that left hip down. Feels like it's sinking, right? Where the thigh meets the socket, dropping. The toes are coming up, thighs going down, and if you got some slack or your big toe presents itself, you could always grab it. But don't overwork it, as we're just getting warmed up. So do try and roll the right side of your rib cage, the right side of your belly to the right. Not the right thigh, though. The right inner thigh is going back. And the right glute is nice and relaxed there, at least gluteus maximus. Right? And the right toes are headed a little to the left so that you can really capitalize on the stretch on the left inner leg. But just like our triangle pose, you want to feel the belly and the rib cage and the shoulders trying to move right as the hips go a little leftward. Let's take a big breath in. And draw it up on the exhale. And right leg comes to center. Take a moment, squaring, grounding, feeling things level off. And then right foot in, left foot in. Straps away. Good, inhale the arms all the way overhead. And then we'll grab both knees, squeeze them in, nose to knees. Round everything, and you can rock off to the side or rock yourself up so that you can move right out onto all fours. And we'll plant the hands and knees, a nice little square shape. Pointer fingers pretty much dead ahead or pointed out a little bit so we can capitalize on this external rotation of the upper arms. So big inhale, working a little, softening the spine in between the shoulder blades. Just imagine the bottom tips of the shoulder blades squeezing together a little on that in breath. And then we'll exhale, press everything down, touching down, try and feel the knees right under the hips, tops of the feet, shins, right, all pushing the earth away, rounding your back. And just a couple of cat's breaths today, bringing breath and movement together, finding a nice fluid movement through the spine, all the way to full, little pause at the top, all the way to empty, belly to back, tailbone dropping. Stretch out the low back, open up the chest, and try and keep the shoulder blades broad and wide, deep down the back. And one more round. Empty it out. Let's inhale the heart forward. Keep a little bit of that softening of the spine in between the blades, but lengthen. We'll squeeze front ribs up and in enough that we feel a neutral spine. Curl the toes under and lift the knees up so you're in a mini little plank. Breathing well, crown dead ahead, tailbone straight back. Try and feel a levelness running back, right and left. Give it another big inhale. We'll slowly stretch it back into downward facing dog. Ground the inner hands, dial the biceps towards the sky as you press through the hips to widen the shoulder blades away from the ears and really allow the blades to melt down the back body and let the lats take over for the upper traps. So try and get a long line, inner hands grounding, but a floaty feeling under the wrists that goes all the way back through the outer arms, underneath those armpits, maybe even through the axilla, back through the sideways. It feels like your arms are growing out of your low back. And keeping your heels up and your knees bent, you can do that the whole practice if you need to. Lengthen your low back. We do want to find the chest widening, but without collapsing and breaking where the ribs and the spine come together in the front. So there's a little return, bottom sternum to navel, to keep that all integrated. And as you start to keep the spine long and spacious, you can work with playing with the legs, very tops of the thighs, or reaching back. And just like you had a little strap around both of them now, pulling, making some space. You want to work the legs so much, you can start to ground the calves and the heels down, but the frontal legs firm, the toes lift, the quadriceps activate, and try and lift your kneecaps up. We breathe deep. Give it another breath. And as you're ready, let's lift the heels and roll out like a wave into plank. So lead through the crown. Take it all the way out. So it feels like you could just keep going forward. And then exhale, take it back. Downward facing dog. Sitting bones high. And let's do that again on the breath. Nice big inhale, plank. And exhale back, downward facing dog. One more time, we're going to inhale to plank. Let's exhale, pause. Inhale, pick up the right leg about an inch. Let's turn the toes out to the right as far as they go. Try not to let the plank change. And then continue, finding center, point the toes down. Then we're going to go internally rotating. Big toe in as much as it will. Notice what happens. Keep the length of the spine if you can. Try not to look at your legs. And then we'll put the right foot down. Left leg up about an inch or two. And then go for it. Externally rotate the left femur in the socket. Feel what you can get. Try and hold plank through the hands and right foot. And back to center. And then internally rotate. Feel in. Breath strong. Turn it in when you're ready. And let's pull it back. Downward facing dog. Walk the hands back slow. We'll give the wrists a little bit of break. Allow some long planking. And if your wrists are complaining, this is for you. Uttanasana. Get back into those heels and shake the hands out a little. Right, weight evenly to the four corners of the feet best you can. So always line up the outer edges of the feet with outer edges of the mat. And work to ground big toe and inner heel and wake up those inner legs. And as you find that nice brightening of the inner thighs to the pelvic floor, you can give yourself a little squeeze in from the outer shins and feel inner and outer leg alive with energy. Maybe soften the inner thighs back a little more and you'll find a deeper forward bend. So, shoulders away from the ears though. Head dangling. And let's keep some weight in the heels, or most of the weight in the heels. Walk our hands back out slowly to downward facing dog. Make your way out there. Might be a little bit longer than what you're previously doing. See what's available. Keep the heels grounded, if you can. And inhaling to plank. Keep the heart going forward and down as you exhale. Squeeze the belly in and heart opens wide. We're going to go all the way to the earth, slow as you can manage. And inhale here. Just allow the forehead to rest. Press the tops of the feet. Fill yourself up. And empty yourself out, squeezing the belly to the back. We want to feel some length of the tailbone back towards the heels. And the front of the pelvis push into the mat. The pubic bone grounds down. Both sides of it. And then we've got even the frontal hips trying to ground into the earth as well. We'll take an inhale, lifting from the shoulders, but feeling the front of the pelvis grounded. You might get a little stretch through the belly as your heart comes up. Stay here as you exhale. Squeeze the belly to the back. Try to lengthen your tail back a little bit more, and then we're going to come a little higher. If you can, you loop the shoulders back a little deeper. Squeeze the belly in and come up a little higher. You just hold where you are. Chin in, back of the neck long. One last breath. Maybe there's a little more forward and up with the chest. And then we'll exhale all the way down. Slow to high Cobra. Let's curl the toes. Take a deep breath in. Squeeze the belly to the back. And make your way into plank. Inhale. And exhale back to downward facing dog. Couple breath here. Let's lift the heels nice and high. Soften the knees deep. Get low around your lower back. Look forward way beyond your hands. Feel springy. Give it a big step or a light hop to the top. As you arrive on no breath, you want to inhale, lengthen, activate your upper back like the Cobra, and exhale. Deeper into the thighs. Always soften the knees to let your belly rest on your thighs and your head dangle. And then we'll come back out, hands gliding up the sides of the legs on the inhale to the hips. Work to stay here as you squeeze your belly back and in. Soften those inner thighs back. And bottom sternum a little to the navel. So you can press the shoulders into your back and get taller as you breathe in. All the way to stand. Allowing the inner thighs to move back. Tailbone grounds. And as you're ready, you can turn the palms out a little bit. Feel the chest widen. Pull the little piece of your bottom sternum in on the exhales to keep it interesting. There's going to be a play between the shoulder blades in the back and the lower front ribs into the belly. And then a little lift from where your sternum has that little articulation at the top, reaching where the skull and the spine meet in the back of the head and neck as well. So it feels like all that's lifting up and lengthening you up. Grounded through the feet and nice and light and tall through the crown. Let's take the arms high, breathing in. And swan dive it out. Fold in half, soften your knees, flatten your back until you can't anymore. When your belly touches your thighs, round in, tuck the chin, drop the crown, and then come back out halfway. Inhaling, exhale, fold a little deeper. And press to rise. All four corners of the feet down, lengthening up, softening the inner thighs back, grounding. Feel the center. Take the hands down the midline or go wide side to return back to your heart, or keep going as you take all the breath out. We're going to stay in breath and movement all the way up. Fold out on the exhale. Time as you inhale your heart forward, we're going to take the right leg backward. Option to use the blocks here or stay on your fingertips. We do want to find a nice long lunge. Left hip pulls back, sinks down, and I got to squeeze my left outer hip into the middle. We want to lift the top of the right thigh to the sky a bit and lengthen from the right heel out the crown, opening the heart. And then we'll take the back knee down, going all the way to empty. Try and give it another breath here. Maybe a little more heart opening. And then we're going to exhale. Plank position. Breathe in plank. And knees or straight legs. You can lower down from Chaturanga all the way to the earth for Cobra or into your upward facing dog. So you choose what your body needs this morning, but keep it beneficial. All the way back. Downward facing dog. And a breath here. Tops of the thighs going back. Spine getting longer. Next in breath, let's take the right leg up and back. We'll try and keep it square. And step the foot up in between the hands. And we'll lengthen out here. So stand the fingertips, or blocks can be helpful just to give you that elevation. Right hip pulling back, dropping down, squeezing in even, and then top of the left thigh. Reaching a little to the sky, so you can feel that buoyancy from the left heel out through the crown. And we'll bring the back knee down. On this one, nice deep breath in. Open up the chest, and then start to squeeze your belly to your back on the exhale. Bring the hands to the thigh, tailbone to the earth, and lift yourself up as much as you can. So breathing in, loop the shoulders down the back, uplift the crown. And we want to find that bottom sternum of the navel knitting together on the exhale. Right hip pulling back, sinking down and hugging in. The left leg, right, toes can be curled under or flat. You might want to squeeze the left outer thigh in enough that you feel the inside of the left leg softening back. And let's add the arms, just straight forward, breathing in. Shoulder heads back, just like those front ribs, breathing out. Right? And then let's take the arms up, breathing in. And on this first round, let's make a little cactus. Squeeze the belly to the back, elbows to about the height of the shoulders, and just feel how wide you can get the top chest and how strong you can get your belly into your back so your lower back feels long and your tailbone and sacrum feel like they're moving down towards the earth. And then back up on the inhale. You can go wide V wherever you can straighten the arms And breathe in. Sometimes it's even touching the palms without your shoulders coming up. And then we'll come all the way down on the exhale. This time, curl the toes under. Inhale. And exhale. Step to the top of the mat. Fold in half. Lengthen out halfway. Fold a little deeper. And then weight in the heels as you press to rise. All the way up. Exhale down the center. We'll come back in on a fresh breath. Reach through the arms. All the breath out. Inhaling, heart goes forward, left leg goes back. And then we sink in on the exhale. Breathe in, get longer. Back knee down. Exhaling. Stay for that extra breath. Open the chest and then back. Plank position, exhale. Inhale, open up. And lower down, Chaturanga. Knees or straight legs. Into your choice of Cobra or the upward facing dog. Lift and lengthen. Make sure you're not squeezing your glutes, but freeing your low back. All the way back to downward dog. Inhale fully. And exhale completely. Give it another couple breaths. Feel the thighs pull back. The legs should be doing most of the work here. And on a fresh breath, left leg will reach. Right thigh pulls back super strong, so you continue to feel the dog and all three extremities on the earth. And the left foot up in between the hands. Lengthen out. And we'll take the back knee down. Inhale. Try and get a little longer from the right knee to the crown. And then use the exhale to squeeze the belly to the back. Tailbone moves to the earth. And we lift the torso up. So inhale, loop the shoulders back. Feel the breath. Uplift the top, chest, and crown. Then we want to still keep lower front ribs hugging in. Redirect more breath into the back body. So as you inhale, try and draw that breath back down into your kidney area. Right around the lower 12th rib and expand the back, side waist. All the way to the top chest. And exhale. Try and keep that length and space, ground it down. Arms forward, breathing in. Shoulder heads back. Reaffirm those front ribs squeezing in a little, and take the arms up. So you can always go as wide as you need to keep the arms straight and strong. Pinky spin in a little bit, shoulders deep into the back. And let's take a cactus just to really feel shoulders well down the back, chest wide, and front ribs in. And then back on an in-breath. You choose wide or as long as the shoulder blades are continuing to stay rooted on the back body. Touch palms and look up. Hands down. Power up with the back leg, inhale. Step into the front leg, exhale. Halfway reaching. Inhaling all the way to empty. And then press to rise. Deep breath in, all the way to the top. Let's exhale, hands down the center. And we'll heel toe out here, so toes and heels. And give yourself a nice deep breath in. Try and feel that lift through the top chest while still keeping the tailbone long, inner thighs soft. And then fold from the hinge in the hips, all the breath out. Soft knees as much as you need. Grab your big toes when you get down there. Lengthen out halfway. And then pull on your toes to fold in a little deeper. So you do want to push the toes down while you pull them up. Right? And the elbows go wide to the side so you can feel the shoulder blades broad and working into your back. Try to nudge your heart a little towards your thighs. And you might even get a little more length through your lower back and back to the legs here. Just give it another breath. And as you're ready, let's come out halfway. We'll plant the hands and step back to plank. Give it a nice deep breath in. Lower down, Chaturanga. Dog or Cobra. And arriving back in downward facing dog on the exhale. Take a moment. Couple deep breaths. Let's take the right leg up and back, breathing in. We're going to step it behind the right hand, say 4 to 6 inches, so we can spin both toes, sets of toes to the right, little toe side of the left foot on the ground. Vashisthasana variation, a little side planking. We want the shoulders well down the back, a little lift up under that left hip, and squeezing belly to back. You want to feel the tailbone lengthening towards your left inner heel, where you can lean back into those shoulders and open up the chest. So give it another breath. If you're feeling good about it, you can stack the right foot on the left. Continue to breathe. Try and make right and left side nice and long. And then when you're ready, hands down. Chaturanga push-up or just back to dog pose. Chaturanga, plank, downward facing dog. Left leg up. And it's going to go behind the left hand several inches. The idea is that your foot and your hip are pretty much in the same line, so that leg's like a little kickstand. Left arm to the sky. Roll the right bicep forward, right shoulder blade well down the back. That right outer hip might need a little lift. And then we want to feel the belly to the back. Nice big widening out through the chest. And feel free to stack it. So you do have to find the internal rotation of the left thigh. So feel the front ribs. Hug in. Tailbone lengthen. And then can you get the shoulders into the back? Holding your belly steady. It's a challenge. When you're ready to let it go, Chaturanga through the vinyasa. We're back to dog. If you are skipping vinyasas today, you're always welcome to skip as many of those as you'd like. It's been hot. We're already pretty loose. Let's give it a moment here. As you're ready, we'll come back on the breath. Heels high, soften the knees, sink in low, get all the breath out. Step or float to the top, lengthening on the inhale, deepening on the exhale. Press your eyes to stand. All the way to the top. And then draw it down the center. Inner thigh soft, belly firm. And we'll touch the earth on the inhale for chair pose, Utkatasana. So lead through the inner thighs, soften them back. Inhale the arms up. And enjoy a couple breaths. Let's pull both thighs back. Feel the heels weighted and rooted. And the toes a little lighter. If you hug your outer shins in, you can soften the inner thighs maybe a little bit more and work to pull the pelvis back and down. And then the shoulders go into the back to lift you a little taller. Give it another breath. Bottom turn to navel and shoulders under the back. Right? Feel that play against each other. Big breath in and fold out over the thighs. I'm going to lengthen out halfway, breathing in. Fold a little deeper, breathing out. And we're going to move back to the chair, inhaling. All the way up. And then here, let's bring all the weight to the left foot. So what do you have to do to keep the chair pose and get your right foot up off the ground about an inch or two? I got to pull the left thigh straight back and hug it in. Set the right foot down. Try it on the right. Right leg takes the weight, and left leg comes up about an inch. Try to keep the chair. Back in the hips, up through the chest. Set it down. Inhale. And we'll exhale. Push through the heels. Rise to stand. Pull your hands into your heart, kind of like pulling yourself up a rope. And let's drop right back in. Chair. Inhale. Ooh. And exhale. Hold. All the way to the left foot. Pull that left hip back. Let's get the right leg up on top of the left. So here we squeeze shins and thighs. Work to sit back into the chair. Right arm under. Right arm over, rather. Nope, I'm right. Right arm under. Left arm over. Try and work it up through the elbows as high as you can. Deepen the shoulder blades down the back. Really work to hug the middle and sit down low. Give it a breath or two here. In and out. Feeling those hips. As you're ready, let's inhale. Fly away. And exhale. Leg down, but keep the arms up. Inhale. Lengthen up, Urdhva Hastasana. And then pull it back to the thighs, back into your chair. Belly to back. Find it nice and strong. And then weight to the right foot. Left leg up. Over top the right. Give it a squeeze. Now, right arm under. Left arm over. Squeeze the shins. Squeeze the thighs. Work to uplift. Deepening shoulders down the back. Elbows do move away from the chest to widen out your upper back. And then we're squeezing and sinking. When you're ready, inhale. Fly away. And exhale, set the foot down. Stay for the in-breath. One last time, chair pose. Utkatasana. Deep breath in. Exhale, fold over the thighs. Lengthen out. Step or float, Chaturanga. Up dog or Cobra. And we'll land back in downward facing dog. All the way to empty. Right away, right leg goes up. Step it up in between the hands. Ground the back heel down. And rise. Virabhadrasana 1. So we're pulling right thigh back. Lifting left inner arch. Squeezing left outer thigh to feel that left inner thigh soften back. And then taking it to the earth. Ride that wave of breath. Back up. And into downward facing dog. The left side takes its turn, inhaling. And stepping. Left foot up, right foot hops a little right. Ground the outside edge of the foot down and lift the inner arch. Squeeze right outer thigh in. Pull that left leg straight back, just like your eagle pose. Tailbone down. And release. Chaturanga through your vinyasa. Or skip the vinyasas and right to dog. All right. We'll give this downward dog a few breaths. If you need, you can always come down for a child's pose. It won't be a long one, though. Keep the legs awake. Keep the arms awake if you can. And as you're ready, one more time. Virabhadrasana 1, right leg going up. Step it up in between the hands. Root the back heel. Find the internal rotation of the back thigh. The right leg pulling straight back, hugging in. And coming down. Through your vinyasa or not. And left side in your own breath. All right. Back to down dog for a few breaths. One last time as you're ready. Right leg reaches. Step it up in between the hands. Virabhadrasana 1. Root it down to rise it up. Just one breath to the top. And one breath down. Going all the way down on the exhale. You can take an extra breath in plank. Continue the exhale through Chaturanga. Shoulders into the back, chest wide. And then belly to the back. Spine long. Left leg up. Right up in between the hands. Virabhadrasana 1. Inhale. And exhale. Take your vinyasa. And we'll meet back in dog pose for a couple breaths. Let's come up high through the heels, breathing in. Soften the knees, sit in low, breathing out. Step or float, top of the mat. Lengthen out. Deepen in. And press to rise. Through your chair if you'd like. Inhale to the exhale. And hands onto the hips. We're going to take a wide step out to the side. So on this first one, let's go about wrist distance with the ankles. So you can measure them out, hands to the hips. Feel the front pelvis uplifted. Just opening on the breath in. Squeeze in here as you exhale, and fold from the hinge in the hips without leading through the solar plexus. And let's try and take a moment here, hands on the earth. Give yourself some length and open up the chest. Maybe walk the hands right out into the shoulders so you can kind of traction those shoulders down the back. And we're going to pull straight back through the right hip. Try and move the right leg to the right, bending the knee, so you get a good stretch through the left inner thigh. Walk your hands just far enough to the right that you can continue to pull your spine straight forward out of the hips, feeling the right side lengthen and the left side lengthen. Imagine you had like a bowling ball in your right back pocket, and you're opening the chest and head forward while pulling the hips back and sinking down. And just see what you get. Try and lift out to the left inner arch, ground the outer left foot, and just see how much you can stretch through the whole left inner thigh. Pulling back and down, chest wide. Try not to lift the hips, but go slow. Bend the left knee, and take a mini walk to the left. It's not going to be far. You don't want to go all the way to the left knee. You're not trying to bring your spine to the left. Spine straight in the middle of the hips, pulling forward. The hips going back down and sinking. So we're working the right inner arch, grounding the right outer foot, brightening the right inner thigh, and working to stretch all that inner stuff. And give it another breath. And on the breath, you can take it back and forth a couple times. Sink it back and down. It's just a lateral lunge. And try not to put your butt up in the air. One last time. Just glide it across. Glide it across. And then back to center. Let's inhale. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, rise to stand. Let's heel toe in a little bit. So we're in a shorter stance. Let's turn the right toes to the right. I'm going to say a block to the outer right foot. And why not a block to the outer left somewhere? Just because it'll make things easier. So we are setting up for triangle pose, and it's a shorter stance than we often do. If you practiced Ashtanga yoga, this is more the Ashtangi stance, where they actually hold the big toe. But we're going to set up here, pushing down through the right inner foot, keeping a little baby bend in the knee. I do want you to try and firm the front of the leg. You might even lift your heel up off the ground a millimeter to really feel all the leg muscles hugging the bone. And then where the thigh meets the socket, roll it to the right. Allow that thigh bone to go right. And then this left leg is going to be neutral. So you're going to allow the left inner thigh to soften back. And that's sometimes a little counterintuitive. A lot of times we start to open the hips sideways by pulling this left side back. So I'm going to invite you to try and keep this inner side soft and neutral. And then as you open up through the arms, it's really the waist that we're taking to the left. So the legs feel like they're going to the right, and your whole upper body feels like it's going to the left. We want to find the crown up, the left side of the belly on, the left ribs, left arm pulling back, and that right leg still spinning to the right in the socket, the left hip neutral. And then lengthening out here. Give yourself a touch down wherever you comfortably can. Let's keep that length. I like to use a block, even in this shorter one, because I can get more grounded through the hand and really deepen the shoulder down the back, externally rotate and feel some freedom in the chest. But we always want to see if we can get the right side as long as the left side. Soften the left side a little bit, lengthen the underneath side out. Back leg is working, right? Ground the outside edge of the left foot and lift the inner arch. And just pull that left thigh straight back. It's not going to go too far, but it's going to make space. The left glute stays off, and that's the beauty of keeping that little bit of internal rotation. Gluteus maximus stays out of the picture. So as you do the same thing we did on the earth, stretch out from the inner thigh, right, to the inner foot, but pull back a little from the outer pinky toe side, outer heel, all the way to the outer hip. That's going to help you externally rotate the femur even more, but it's also going to help you keep pulling that right hip back, 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 which is going to free the right side of your waist and make it nice and long. So give it another breath here. right? If you're in Ashtanga, grab your toe. Take a breath. And then when you're ready, we're going to inhale it up. And we're going to exhale, change it out. So nice short stance, but heel to heel. And same actions, right? Right hip is in neutral. Let's push down through the left big toe. Lift the left heel for a moment. Firm the entire left leg up. Feel all the muscles hugging the bone. Then the heel comes down. We're spinning the thigh bone in the socket to the left. And then allowing this right hip to go a little forward. You got to find out what happened to my plumb line. Lift up through the spine. Drop the tail down. And then try and pull back a little more through the right side waist, right ribs. So it's an open twist to the right. Well, the legs are trying to move leftward. So what we're operating in is in the transverse plane. And when you're ready, find that length all the way out through the left side. Come down to the earth or your block, whatever serves you. But do try and feel the feet in the ground here. Right leg pulling straight back, making space, but keeping the right hip a little forward so the inside of your leg feels soft and that big glute in the back doesn't grip. And then same actions through the left leg. Try and lengthen from the inner left groin all the way out to the left big toe, inner heel, inner foot. And then pull back from the little toe side of the foot and engage. Whole outer leg. Try and use that outer hip to drop the left hip down and keep pulling it back and under to the right. And as that happens, you might get a little more belly and heart, able to roll up. You might even tuck the chin and look up. And breathe deep. So give it another breath or two here. If you want to play with trying to hold your big toe, go for it. And we'll come all the way up. Inhale. And exhale, hands to hips. And then we're going to go out a little wider. So toes out, heels out. And then you can remeasure. You can go back to wrist distance or a little wider if you're feeling wild. I'm going to turn the right toes out, left toes in, and we're going to play with a longer stance in triangle, but the same actions. So we're still externally rotating right femur, keeping a little micro bend in the right knee, engaging all the leg bones, or leg muscles around the bone. And then try and allow that left hip to be neutral. Pull back, left side waist. Pull back, left rib cage. And I don't know about you, but I don't feel as balanced with long legs. But I do enjoy the length. Coming down to whatever serves you, a block or the earth. You might not need a block with the long legs. You might get a little closer to the ground. But deepen the shoulders down. Try and find that same action of the left leg pulling straight back. A little lift out of the left inner arch to brighten the inner thigh, and the inner thigh softening. So that as you find the right leg and stretch from right inner groin to right inner foot, pull back from right outer ankle to outer hip, and roll that right hip under to the left. You're able to then roll the belly and the heart up. Breathe deep. So enjoy another couple breaths here. Look up if it feels good on your head and neck. Notice what you get out of the longer stance and maybe what you lose. And then when you're ready, inhale it up. Hands to hips, and we're going to change sides. So toes and heels align, or heels align rather. Right toes point in, right hip is kind of following the toes. The left leg is doing the work of the external rotation of the femur. The right side waist and right belly are pulling back to the right. Get nice and long. And touch down to the earth or your block. And find those actions again, right? Keep grounding the ball of the left foot. Maybe try and experiment with making the heel a little lighter. Keeping the back of the leg and the front of the leg on. And the whole right thigh pulling back. Reach out of that right inner arch. Lift up there. Make some space, allowing the inside of the right leg to soften. You're able to pull that left outer ankle back, outer knee, outer hip, pulling back, and then hugging under so that it rolls open through the chest, hugging the belly. Breathe well. Last couple breaths here. And when you're ready, we'll inhale up. Let's exhale, pivot. Hands on the hips. You can heel toe in a little bit if you need. Let's lift the heart, open the arms wide, big breath in. Squeeze the belly to the back, tail down, hands behind the back to interlace. Prasarita Padottanasana C. Just wide and open and squeezing belly to back. Fold yourself out, hinging at the hips. Sitting bones go up. Crown goes straight down if you can find it. And your arms up and over. Keep a little bend in the elbows to find the heart and feel in the shoulders. Lifting the shoulder heads up and pressing shoulder blades into the back. Let your head go. Give it a last breath. Inhale. Halfway, hands to hips, exhale. And then rise, pressing shoulders into the back. And let's turn to the front, step it up. And when you're ready, come back to Tadasana. Root it through the feet, uplift it through the crown. Let's touch the earth, inhaling, chair pose. Exhale, fold over the thighs, empty it out. Lengthen your heart forward, step to plank or jump Chaturanga. Up dog or Cobra. And back. Downward facing dog. All right. Let's inhale to plank position. Exhale, pause. So we're going to start with the left leg up off the earth about 2 inches. Spin the left toes to the left. Find that external rotation. And use that to lead yourself into the side plank. Right? Let the thigh bone direct. And then once you get in, you got to reset the toes, the internal rotation. Tailbone long, front ribs in. Back to Vashisthasana. Give it a breath here. And then release. Coming down. Inhale. We're going to lift the right toes. Turn the right toes to the right. Keep the chest wide. Breath strong. Use the right thigh to lead yourself to the left side, Vashisthasana. And then turn it in. Give it a breath. And release. Chaturanga through the vinyasa. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. We'll take the right leg up and back, breathing in. Step it right up in between the hands now. And we're going to set up for Virabhadrasana 2. So front heel to back heel or inner arch. Find the external rotation of the right femur. And the left arm is going to reach forward, pulling over the crown. We're still pulling back through the left inner thigh, keeping the left hip and toes internally rotating a little bit so that we can work the right leg. Get it deep. So we're stretching from the right inner groin out to inner knee, but there's a little pullback from the right outer knee to outer hip to help engage that right outer hip, dropping down and hugging under. And then keeping the legs strong, we're going to move to side angle pose. So right arm reaches long. You can start with elbow to thigh. The classic pose is to the outer foot. And I always find a block helpful. Place it down, left arm up. And you're welcome to stay right here. Continue to push the right arm and the right leg together, getting that right outer hip under. Maybe take the left arm all the way up and over the ear, finding length in the left heel all the way out through the crown. We want to roll open through the belly and the chest. So the hips stay, and the belly, and the heart start to roll up to the sky. Look up if it feels good, or just look straight side. And then we're going to take the left arm back up, try and keep that opening through the chest. And we're going to bend the left, we're going to drag the left toes in as we reach the right arm forward beyond the little toe side of the foot, Ardha Chandrasana. So you can hop that block out if it helps. We're lifting through the left inner thigh. Point the left toes down a little bit. Find that softness of the left glute. Use your right leg. Roll the femur to the right. It's the outer hip holding you in place. And breathe. A few deep breaths. When you're ready, bend deeply into that right leg and step back super long. Try and land back in extended side angle. Arm up, we're going overhead for the full experience. Couple deep breaths. Let me inhale, warrior two. Exhale, find your roots. Inhale, reverse. Right arm up. Lean back into those shoulders as you deepen the belly to the back. Stretch the side. Inhale to the earth. And Chaturanga, or dog pose, exhaling. We'll take it over to the second side. So left leg goes up. And we're going to step it up in between the hands. Heel to heel. Spin the left femur to the left. Right arm reaches forward, pulls over the crown. You're pulling back through the right side waist, right ribs. Spinning the left femur. And the right hip stays neutral. That's how you get low, without your glute gripping and getting in the way. So brighten the back leg by pulling it straight back, but allow a little softening of the inner groin. And then stretch left inner thigh, inner knee. Pull back, outer knee to outer hip. You feel that left outer hip going down, under to the right. So you get nice and tall there. And then keeping the length, we go out. Find your block if you need it. And right arm up. So push the left leg and the left arm into each other, encouraging that left hip to drop and hug under to the right even more. Keep the right outer foot grounded. Inner leg soft. And belly and heart rolling up to the sky. So feel the hips stay in place, but your belly go up. And then the ribs roll up. And then maybe get that right arm over. Couple breaths. Right outer hip still pulling back and hugging under. And as you're ready, right arm can go back to the sky. I'm going to slide the right toes in and left fingers forward. Ardha Chandrasana. Keep lifting through the right inner leg and externally rotating the left femur. Point the right toes down a little bit. Lengthen crown, dead ahead, tailbone to that right heel. And as you find stability, ground strong through the left inner foot. Roll open. Belly in the chest trying to go to the sky. The legs stay as they are. Give it another breath or two. And as you're ready, you're going to bend the left knee deep. Make your way back into the side angle pose, nice and light. Option to keep the arm up or reach it over again. And when you're ready, inhale to come up. Warrior two, exhale to sink into those hips. Keep the crown up. Left arm up. And lean back. Inhale to the earth. Chaturanga. Vinyasa. Up dog or cobra. Back to downward facing dog. Give it a breath or two. And take it back to the top of the mat, heels high. Bend the knees deep, step or float. Lengthen. Deepen. And press to rise to stand. All the way up, right down the center, all the way to empty. Let's take a moment in tree pose. So find your balance today on the left foot. Right leg's gonna lift, and we're placing the right foot high to the left inner thigh. So more weight perhaps to the left inner foot. Right knee probably needs to come forward to the pelvis. Try and keep your pelvis dead ahead. Right? So feel the frontal hip points in harmony without one going off to the side with the knee, right? So we want to feel the external rotation of the femur in the socket, but not affecting the balance of the pelvis. Tailbone roots with the left inner heel, and maybe drop the right hip a little bit as left outer thigh squeezes in. Right? Hands to the heart. Hold the middle as you take the arms wherever they feel right. Let's keep breathing. I want you to really work the left inner thigh back and the right outer leg strong, so it feels like that right hip is dropping down and hugging under a little to the left, same as it does in our triangle and in our pyramid, or in our extended side angle. Give it another breath or two. Bottoms turn to navel and shoulders deep into the back if you can find it. And we'll let it go. Shake it out a little bit. And over to the second side. So hug the right leg in, maybe more weight to the right inner foot. And left foot as high as you can get it up there. The only rule we have here is do not press to the inner knee, please. Go below the knee or above the knee, never into the knee joint. So up here, up high, we've got the kind of bottom of the psoas there, the origins there, where it meets the thigh bone. So you want to maybe get your heel into that. And then we're squeezing right outer leg in, but we're still asking the left femur to roll to the left, just mindful that the pelvis is staying level. And that can be a lot. It can be a lot. So continue to soften the right inner thigh back and externally rotate the left femur. Working to see what kind of opening you can get through the pelvis as you play with the arms and your balance. And notice if continuing those actions makes it easier or more challenging for you. Which action likes to really work strong, and which one's like, wait, what do I do? So figure it out. Give it another breath or two. It's always fun to play around a little, let it go, shake it out, and then back to the top. Peaceful breath, and we're going to drop back in, Utkatasana. Fold in half, Uttanasana. Lengthen out, step or float, Chaturanga Dandasana. We'll meet back in the downward facing dog. Alrighty. Let's inhale to plank. Squeeze your belly to your back. Find a nice long plank. Let's take the right toes up, or left toes up, and spin them out. So this time we're going all the way up into the side plank. This time keep your toes up and bend the knee. Grab the knee and pull it in towards your chest a little bit. You want to keep the knee probably a little forward of your hips. Roll the right shoulder back. Keep the belly strong, and if it's available, grab your left big toe. You probably want to keep the left big toe forward of your pelvis as well, not straight up and down, but feel the same work we've been doing, right? The triangle pose here. The right inner thigh is trying to soften back. The left thigh is trying to externally rotate a little bit. Ooh, and then how much can you open up the heart and breathe well? Let it go slow and steady when you're ready. Take it down. Vinyasa if you want. Right over to the second side. I want a vinyasa. So open it up. Pull it back if you're enjoying that. And then we're back in plank. Exhale. Let's lift the right toes. Roll it open to the left. And then bend the knee. So keep a little softening of the left inner thigh back. And bring the knee maybe a little forward. And then maybe go for the big toe if it's available. But lean the chest back into those shoulder blades. Take the leg up. Spin the femur in the socket. And open your chest. Roll open through the belly and the heart. And when you're ready, release slow. Chaturanga through your vinyasa. Up dog or cobra. Oh. And down dog. And how about a child's pose now? Let's drop it down. Sink it back. Take a breath or two. Let's walk the hands back, cross the heels, swing the legs through, and move on to the back for bridge. So feel free to have your blocks handy. If you would prefer to support yourself in your bridge poses, you're more than welcome. Just to enjoy a supported bridge for the duration of our back bends. But heels in where you can touch, inner groin soft, back of the pelvis wide. And as you're ready, we get all the breath out and articulate it up through the tail, lifting up through the hips, rise all the way up onto the shoulder heads. So let's just take the arms straight up to the sky for starters. With your fingers pointing to the ceiling, you can pull the upper arms down, really get the shoulder heads into the mat, and your spine up off the mat, in between those blades a little bit. And then from there, elbows down. Chest pops a little more. And you might get the outside edges of the mat, start to spin the biceps up and pull the mat apart, or interlace the hands underneath you. Just listen into your feet, ground the inner foot, hug the outer shins, outer thighs. Try and give that tailbone a little more lift and length as you breathe. You're always welcome to lift the heels, walk the toes in any amount, keep the lift, and work the heels back down if they'll go there. Breathe deep. Big inhale, and exhale, release. We'll enjoy 2 more back bends. You can stay with bridge, or you can take it into Urdhva, Dhanurasana, the upward facing bow. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's take it on up to bridge. And then, working in stages, hands under the shoulders. Squeeze the elbows in, pop to the crown. Set your feet, inner foot grounded. Elbows hugging in. Arms straight and legs straight. Open the chest wide. Squeeze the belly to the back. Find a little lift to the heels if you'd like, and walk in. Try to ground down through the heels. Inner foot. Outer shins hug the middle. Outer arms move out. When you're ready, slow lower. Calm and down. Rest for a breath or two, and then rise again. Breathing in, breathing out, inhaling. 3 to 5 breaths. Last round. Keep the chest wide. Power up those legs. Release when you're ready. And enjoy a moment on the earth. All right, so let's walk the feet wide, drop the knees in. Reach the arms up. Get the shoulder blades off the ground. Embrace yourself or come back to the Garudasana arms. Second side. In your own breath rhythm. Find it for a few breaths. Opposite arm on top. All right. And we'll give ourselves a little rock off to the side or up to sit. Stretch the legs out. Grip the sitting bones nice and wide. Take the right leg over top the left leg for Ardha Matsyendrasana. Tall spine, or feel free to sit on something so that you can lengthen your low back. Got a point of interest there through the right foot and both sitting bones grounded. And if you're able to get your left heel back by your right hip, all 3 of those points, right foot, right and left sitting bone, equally anchored. And as tall as you can be up through the crown, deepening through the belly. We're going to twist around to the right. So we haven't done much across the body twisting today. You might go gentle. Just lifting tall and rolling rightward. Try to get the shoulders into the back, chest wide. If you want to take the left arm up and hook it over top right leg, go for it. Shoulder blades move down, crown goes up. Try to keep those 3 points anchored. And use the breath to roll the spine to the right. Lifting tall. Sucking the right side waist back in a little if you need to feel the rotation. Spine straight up and down. Big inhale. All the breath out. Let's inhale. Turn the head, look over the left shoulder. And exhale. Unwind the spine. Let's Straighten out the legs. Take a moment in Tadasana. Chest tall. Hips grounded. And left leg over the right. Nice and tall. Take it over to the side a little. And around if that feels appropriate. Lifting tall, shoulders in, and spine twist to the left. Right arm can wrap the left leg, and you could keep it here. If you want the right arm up, you want to hook it over top the left leg, you want to draw the shoulders down and lengthen all the way back up again. And if your left side waist just collapses to the left, you want to maybe hug it back towards the middle. Try and lengthen up without letting the left sitting bone leave the earth. And then roll it around. Breathing in. Try and widen out through the front chest. Breathing out. Deepen into the rotation. Any amount. Last couple breaths. All the way to full and empty it out. Inhale. Let's look over the right shoulder. And we'll exhale, unwind the spine. So to finish, you've got your right leg forward, your left leg on top. You could go for the double pigeon, right? You could move onto your back for the recline variation, thread the needle, if that's more accessible, or if you want to get back onto your back already. Or you just swing that left leg around, right shin stays parallel. We want to roll the left inner thigh to the sky. Pull the right hip straight back, sink it down, hug it in a little bit. Find some heart opening. Belly deepening, so the tailbone feels like it's rooting to the earth. And that right hip gets lower to the ground. If it's still up in the air, support it. And then move yourself out. A few breaths. So we want to feel that outer hip getting a really good stretch. Did a lot of squeezing. Everything from the outer hip to the sacrum, that piriforma, some lateral hip rotators, get a lovely release and opening. Try to soften the tongue, the jaw around the eyes. Allow that outer hip to soften. You can change sides whenever you're ready. You can keep it simple, just swing it around to the right hip and bring the left leg forward. And then weight over to the left. As we swing the right leg around, it's just about getting the right inner thigh to go up and the outer hip to go down. So we're back to squaring the hips. Right? Very different from our triangle pose. More like our warrior one pose or our lunges. More like warrior one fell over on its side. Right, so try and power up the back leg, pull the left hip back. Use those back bends to open the chest and squeeze the belly. Find the rooting action of the tail. And then from there, that left hip might touch ground or get fairly close. And when you're ready, fold out. And enjoy. Several breaths. Really melt the shoulders and just put some attention on that outer left hip and let it release and let go. And make little adjustments so that you can stay in there. The body oftentimes tries to avoid places that need it. It's okay. Trying to do us a favor, but sometimes that just leads to imbalances that we're not going to be happy with in the future. So it's better just inquire, take the time to feel in, and move away from our preferences every once in a while into something Not quite as cozy and comfy, but effective and necessary. So when you're feeling even on both sides, bring it back up. Swing it around. And let's take a moment with the legs out. As much bend in the knees as you need. Tall spine, lift up. And fold out. Paschimottanasana. Just a couple breaths. Just to bring a little more length into the back symmetrically. And then when you're ready, let's lengthen up. Squeeze the belly to the back. Bring the knees nice and close. And let's take a moment here to reach the arms forward and start to round through the back. Round, 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 round. Till your sacrum's on the ground. And where your sacrum and your spine meet is almost touching the earth. You're keeping the chest up. You could play with both legs hovering. Little mini boat. Just bring a little core strength in and then soften the inner thighs down. Roll it down. Waggle it in and out. Come back to that just right place to soften in and release. And you might just go back through all the points we did in the beginning of practice. Just noticing the heels where they've landed. And the hips. The back of the pelvis. Working your way up the body. Allowing everything to settle and soften. Let go of the need to work or try. Nothing to accomplish at all. Just the freedom to be with nothing to do but melt into the ground. Let go of the body. breathing when you're ready. Come back to a little gentle, familiar movement out at the edges of the body. And always set the feet flat and breathe the arms up overhead. You just want to find yourself making your way back to seated. Keep the eyes closed. Keep the body soft. Just work to stay in Shavasana as you rise to sit. Keeping yourself internally focused. Not quite yet back to life in the outer world. Just a moment to feel the pelvis rooting, the tailbone anchored and the crown uplifted. Spine a long, strong bridge between heaven and earth. And we'll close with the hands at the heart. Hands pressing together as a symbol of unity, of oneness. And we'll take a bow to the one. To the one breath and the one life that moves through us all. Let's take a moment here to be grateful as well. All right, thank you guys so much for your practice today. Namaste. Have a wonderful Wednesday.